What's up, everyone? It's your favorite Valorant player here, Dex. I'm back at it again with another crazy podcast for you guys. Look, I got a chance to sit down with one of the greatest coaches right now, James IRL. Right now, you probably see him at Complexity right now with CS:GO, and they just beat Team Liquid to qualify for the majors. So I got a chance to sit down with him, and he dropped some gems for guys like myself that are aspiring pros and looking to go pro, and what are the steps that you have to take to go pro, and whether or not if you're good enough. He recently coached for C9 and 100 Thieves with Valorant, so you'll be able to get that CS:GO and that Valorant knowledge there to whatever game that you play, you can pursue or whatever. So I hope you guys enjoy the podcast. I hope you guys really take something away from this, because I promise you it's only getting better, and we're getting gems dropped down to us so we can get an understanding of how things are ran in the esports, and how to get there and how to put your name out there. So he definitely dropped some gems for us, and I hope you guys enjoy. All good.
But yeah, so
Yeah.
so I just wanted to let you know, like, esports is the most cutthroat thing possible. Like, it is way more cutthroat than traditional sports because there's no genetics in it. Like, there's no like height advantage. It's literally like, can you communicate, and can you get a kill, and are you smart enough to play the round correctly? So in that sense, I think it's one of the most beautiful things, right? Because it is a pure meritocracy. Obviously, some nepotism comes into play at some level, but like really not that bad. Like most of the people who play with their friends, like their friends are pretty freaking good. Like it's small margins.
So so I know you said like it just comes down to if you're good. So like, do you think like in traditional sports, how like because I played collegiate football at Auburn and UAB and stuff like that, and I know a lot of times, like even with the NFL, they look at like 6'6", 6'1", 6'3", guys
Yeah.
like that. So like, so you don't think anything like genetically plays a part in esports? Like
Nothing like that you could really put a pin on, right?
okay,
Like,
yeah,
because at the end of, like, I mean, it would be so many traits, and traits that are built up from such multiple genes. Like genetics is actually my background. That's what I studied. So like,
okay,
it would be a very hard argument to say like somebody's genetically better, right? That doesn't like it's the traits that give rise to how good you are so multifaceted that boiling that down to a genetics thing would be like really unscientific and be very hard to prove with data.
okay. That's so what do people mean when I hear people say, "Oh, this guy is talented," or he's the most talented
Uh,
person I've seen. Like we're like, because even though it doesn't come down to a genetic thing, quote unquote, like where there's like that guy's talented. Because if that's the case,
yeah,
could anyone be talented at a video game if they just put in the work?
yeah. I mean, who knows, right? Like the commentator who says that hasn't followed the person for their entire life to see whether or not it was something that was talent, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
the difference between talent and hard work is depending on the difference or whether or not it was there originally. Um, I would say like what makes somebody special in game is that they're able to think for themselves and be confident enough in their own intelligence in the game to make their own play. Like, for instance, like having the ability to in-game lead.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you literally cannot in-game lead because you don't have the confidence in your own brain and your own understanding of the game, like you're always going to be limited because you can't give mid-round calls. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah.
like when a player tells me like, "Oh, I'm not comfortable playing that position." I'm like, "That's fucking bullshit to me." Like, dude, it's not like you're like physically like in a cramped spot. You just
Yeah.
aren't good enough to like you don't understand how to play it. Like don't like I don't want to hear this like limiting minds or like an opper can't rifle. Like shut
Yeah.
up. Like everyone should be able to pretty much play all of it. Like there's so many self-limiting things, and like that's why I think being able to think for yourself is the main thing I would always teach people. Always. Like don't listen to people's like shit logical fallacies. Like you hear it all the time. Like if you ever ask somebody like about a player who they played with, their opinions are always either like one of the binary choices, either bad or insane, right?
Insane.
It's
Yeah.
never like
In the
something,
middle.
but the truth is that
Yeah.
it always is somewhere in the middle. And it's like, so therefore you should that should be enough evidence to you to think for yourself and trust in your own brain in everything you do, in analyzing the game. That doesn't mean you don't seek outward opinion like from people you trust or people you think are smart. I'm just saying like
Yeah.
you shouldn't ever like change your mind based on shit logic or culturally perceived norms in esports, because I don't think that many people are very good. Like I really don't. I think a lot of people are like most
Yeah.
people are pretty shit. Aim, it's really easy to have good aim. Like having good aim is not impressive at all. Like that is not what makes a good player.
Man, that's a hot take because I like in Valorant I was watching the VCT specific like early like all night and one of the things I hear these casters talking about is aim. Oh, this guy got aim,
Yeah.
or this guy like tens has insane aim,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I kind of see like a lot of these pro players in VCT, not shitting on them, but you know, it seemed like they tried to just use their aim to like carry them through,
Yeah.
you know, through the game. When you know you got teams like Fnatic that knows the game on like on a more like just they think outside the box when it comes to things, or like a team
Yeah.
like PRX where it's not just their aim;
Yep.
they know how to actually like play the game, if that makes sense. And then it's just like, okay, well, I can understand why Fnatic is going to be always going to be a top tier team because the way they do things, the way they think outside of the game. So you know, so my thing is like, why is you know? I know you said like aim is not all that important, but is it important to some degree
Oh
to
yeah, I'm
where?
not saying it's not all that important. What I'm saying is that it's not a way to parse out between the good and the best.
Okay,
The good
gotcha.
and the best are going to have very similar aim. It's about different things. And like I think like any 12-year-old who's been playing the game for like way is going to have good aim, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like any kid who's but are they going to play situation smart? Can they talk to their teammates? Can they orchestrate a plan in the moment? Do they have the confidence to speak up when they have a plan? So many different things that like make the difference between like a tier 2 or tier 3 and tier 1. They're very small things, but they're very big things that need to be done habitually, and you can't ever make the mistake, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
if I don't make a mid-round call, if I don't orchestrate when it's 11 all, but I did 4 of the other times, we're still going to lose the match. So that means I need to do it every time. So like this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Like you can't just be like episodically decent
Yeah.
to play at the top.
So what would you say separates you know guys like tier one from the tier two players that are stuck in tier two and that they cannot like climb up to get to that tier one spot?
I mean, there's a few things. Like I mean, experience is obviously a big one,
Mm-hmm.
right? You could say that until you can't say it. Like some people need more reps of seeing variations of a similar situation to learn how to play it correctly all the time. Like, why does Donk play most situations correctly? You know, Donk, he was fluent
Mm-hmm.
in CS.
Yeah.
Why is he playing a lot of situations correctly, whereas this other guy who's been on like a slight tier 1, tier 2 team is still like fucking up things? You know, like why is Boros on Falcons fucking up obvious rotations, but Donk isn't, right? Like,
Yeah.
and it's like, well, when do you get in those conversations with your teammates where they like don't want to see logic and they're getting defensive about things? It's like it comes down to like personality characteristics, and you know what I'm saying? Like if you're like immature and insecure and you can't handle being wrong and you can't reason through things, and you're probably going to get stuck for longer. Whereas if you're like, you know, mature and you know how to deal with things and you know how to think through things and you don't have too much of an ego, then like you'll probably improve very fast, right? So it's all about like just kind of like being happy and like being well adjusted is like a huge thing that changes tier 1 to tier 2. I think like working hard at the right things matters a lot. Like not just sitting and DMing for 3 hours, but like
Yeah.
breaking up your time, what doing the dirty work of like listening to my comms in the last scrim, looking at my positioning, like the stuff that isn't fun, right? It's more, you get more of a dopamine rush by like playing DM with your like music on than you do from like sitting there and listening to your annoying voice in a scrim, right? But like
Yeah.
sometimes you need to like change up what you're doing and have like a mosaic of an approach. So just summarizing it so far, it's like their attitude, like are they professional? And then
Mm-hmm.
number two is like having like a more regimented practice style or why you get better. And then number three, I think, is like opportunities and resources. So there's always like a luck or connections based approach. Like it does help to know people, right? Like
Yeah.
reaching out to people who you meet in pugs, how you are in pugs. Like if you're just putting off like a good attractive energy in a pug and you're like in-game leading, but you're not annoying about it, but you're smart and you're like accepting of other people's ideas, like, and you do that, you know, let's say you play 4 to 5 pugs a day, that's 25 new people a day that you're going to meet that you never know if who they're going to remember you. So like I would say just make every second count. You know, not that you're like stressed about it, but like that's another thing. When I was coming up in the game, like there was no money in it. So like it was out of pure enjoyment. So I could
Mm-hmm.
see how like kids nowadays are getting like kind of stressed about like their expectations of themselves. So that's something I can't talk to in terms of feeling it myself, but I can
Mm-hmm.
empathize with what it might do to somebody.
So you said something pretty much with like your attitude and pretty much dropping your ego. Would you say that's like, well, it doesn't guarantee that you're a GoPro, but that would definitely help your chances. Am I
Yes,
correct?
exactly. That's a perfect way of putting it. Like if you're gonna put your resources in the right place, then it'll give you the best chance possible, right? And
Mm-hmm.
like at that point, you have no regrets because you put your right foot forward.
So with like networking as well, how big would you say that's like part of like getting to that level, getting yourself noticed?
I would say it's important to the point of you shouldn't force it, but you should do it naturally. So
Mm-hmm.
like, what is your daily routine? When do you play the game? Like, do you pug or do you play with a team? Do you scrim? Like, when are you meeting new people or when are you interacting with people with respect to the game?
You asking me that, or
Yeah,
is
like
it?
when is it? Like,
Uh,
do you pug or do you scrim or what are you doing?
so I pretty much pug in the morning before
Okay.
practice,
So
and
there's one networking opportunity. And then what's the next one?
and then afterwards I pug in at like before I go to bed, and then but I
What
scrim.
about practice?
Practice is at 4 to 8, 4 to 9,
And then you play with
depending.
your teammates then?
Yeah, I pretty
Okay.
much do that, and
So
then
you have networking opportunities that are natural twice like all day.
pretty
So
much, yeah.
you don't it doesn't sound like unless you are wanting something else, it doesn't sound like you need to go forge a new thing. It seems like you have plenty of opportunities to make quality interactions with where you are. So every time you pug, make sure you're going about everything correctly. So
Hmm.
similarly to how a boxer or MMA fighter or somebody who's trying like a gymnast is trying to train, like the goal for the gymnast should be to do every push up and every breath and every rep as perfectly as possible. So when you get in a pug, your comms should be as good as possible. You shouldn't be annoying the fuck out of everyone. You should be learning how to always be as good as possible because people are going to notice that. And you're also going to be training correctly. You're not wasting your time. So like you will just be a magnet for what you want in life if that's how you conduct yourself. Does this make sense? That
That
doesn't
makes
that
a
doesn't
lot of
mean
sense.
yeah, that doesn't mean you're going out of your way and like messaging people annoyingly like, "Oh, give me a chance." Like you are making the most of your current networking opportunities, which is when you're around other humans doing your task, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all you need to worry about for now. When you start getting too good for your surroundings, like if you are actually too good for your team, like they suck compared to you, because that might happen at some point. That's a very often had reality in esports. Then at that point, then you start trying to forge new like you start doing actions to forge new relationships like messaging people like hey like I'm looking for a team, this is my level, like da 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 da. Like that's when you do new things. But for right now, it sounds like you have plenty of opportunities for networking.
Yeah, I try not to force like kind of force networking really, because
Yeah.
in sports, growing up, especially like trying to market myself to like to college coaches and stuff like that, I never really forced it. I kind of just let it flow, and I use my skills and my ability to show out on the field and on the basketball court. And then kind of like it kind of came naturally where I had started getting assistant coaches talk to me, and then eventually the head coaches came, and it kind of like went like that. And I don't know if it's like that kind of like in esports where you meet this guy, then you meet this next person that they might know,
Yeah.
and then I don't know if it like trickles down like
Yeah.
that. But I kind of don't try to go about it like try to be
That's
annoying
perfect.
about it, because I
Yeah, that's
know
perfect.
I will say, not to boast my ego or nothing, but I am kind of like a little bit well known and somewhat in the collegiate scene with people I meet and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And so I try not to be a a dick to other
Yeah.
people that because like one of my friends her name is Teddy. She played in Game Changers. She knows Mel. She knows like uh Sean Garris, like all those people, but I actually met her at a I think we was at DreamHack, and I played against her team, and I think that's how we became like friends or whatever. But um
Nice.
I don't know. My dream is to go pro really, really bad. I really want to. It's not really for me. It's mostly for I want to be that bridge between the traditional sports and esports, because I know like people like parents that black families, typically it's still a taboo thing to look at video games as like um a way of like you can make a living off of it, or it's the new age to it's something different. And so typically I want to show black parents that you know if your kid is not talented in football or basketball or whatever, you know he can still, or she can still make a way, still go reach their dreams in different avenues than
Yeah.
just trying to
Yeah.
use their physical body to make it in
Yeah.
life, to make it out
Yeah.
the hood, or anything like that. Because I know plenty
Yeah.
of people that I've met that are younger than me, and these kids are not good at football, basketball, but they're really good at at video games. And so it's just like, but their parents don't support it, and so it
Yeah.
took a minute for my parents to start supporting me on it, because they looked at, because I played football all my life, and so all they know is football, 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 and
You played at Auburn, bro? That's
yeah,
crazy. That's
yeah.
insane.
I played at
You're a genetic
UAB.
mutant.
Oh yeah, I get that. I get that a lot.
Well, that's like why that's why I would bet on esports over time to get really big, because like if you look at like a pie slice of all humans, like
Mhm.
the people who are physically genetically mutant enough like you to play a real sport at a high level is very low percentage of the pie. But the percentage of the pie that has like competitive drive is way bigger than the people who genetically can play a traditional sport. But they
Yeah,
might like they're probably going to be good enough to try an esport. So I think esports is going to get huge in the next like I would say like in 50 years, it is going to be so much bigger than regular sports. It's
I
going to be
agree.
laughable. Like
I
by the time
agree,
I'm like dying, it's going to be massive, bro.
and I definitely agree. I just wish a lot of parents would like support it. You
It's
know,
sketchy still though right now,
yeah.
bro. Like, and I don't, I've been like hesitating telling you that because like if I was in your shoes, it wouldn't matter to me. But like, it's very hard. It's very hard to have a normal life while you're doing it.
Hmm.
Like you'll make enough money to have like a really good start in life, but like the amount of travel we have to do is crazy. Like to have like a to be around your family all the time. I think you should still do it though, but like you'll see like when you get there, just remember this conversation and you'll laugh. Like it's a very hard lifestyle. Like you're traveling a lot. You don't get to see your friends and family a lot. Like it's interesting. It's definitely something interesting.
Well, that's you know, because with college football, you know, you have to travel a lot. You constantly, like the thing is, like I brought work home basically in a sense where I was not off the clock. I go home, take a shower, eat, and then I'm studying my playbook. Or I'm watching film, or I go back to the facility to go watch more film, and that's something that I carry over to Valorant. Is that's something I do. Like teams that we have to play, I find VODs on them. I find any bit of information I can find on how players' tendencies, how you know what like part of the map makes them uncomfortable, what they don't like, what their strats and stuff like that. And that's something that I do as a player that I carried over to esports. And so you know it's like I have I pretty much that's all I do, and I love it, and I'm okay with traveling. I'm okay with that hard lifestyle because I loved it. I loved it. Like especially like football games got fly out Thursday night, Friday morning, and play on Saturday, and come back on Monday and do it all over again, and you barely see your family. I'm young. I'm okay.
You like the adventure.
I love it. I love it. I enjoyed it, and to me it's like because I've been to Alabama all my life, and so for me it's good for it. I like it because I'm able to go out and see different parts of the world and stuff like that, and so that's what I love about it. So I don't have any kids or any responsibilities. So I'm gonna take full.
The only responsibility you have is to follow up on your passions and dreams, bro. So fucking make them happen.
Trust me. I'm
sounds like you're doing the right thing. If you're VOD reviewing, nobody wants to do that.
Trust me.
You're already putting yourself in the high pool right there.
To be when I first started, when I told myself, you know what, I'm gonna do this. I did not. I originally started like recording my my POV and rank games and stuff like that, and I started like I was like, okay, what I didn't understand like what I truly need to do to get better. So I started looking at like YouTube guys, and so that's how I started trying to learn like everything. And I've only been playing this game for 2 years now, and so it's just pretty interesting that just in 2 years I see myself like improve tremendously, and just from just VOD reviewing alone. And it's just crazy how you can just watch yourself just go back and watch your gameplay even in scrims. Like after practice I'm already watching like 4 or 5 of our scrims that we played. I'm already sitting down with our analyst that we have Arctic. I'm already sitting down with him like figuring out, okay, what did I do here that was incorrect? You know, even though like I felt, even though I might have made a good play, but it's just like, you know, coach, was there like a better way to handle this situation? Is there like a better way where if I know I'm in the situation again, I know what's the better alternative for me to do than do this, you know? And so I always ask a lot of questions, and and it might get annoying to my coaches, especially Coach Roman. It might get annoying to him, but I always ask questions. I had to ask, okay, why does this not work? What happened here? Why did this happen? That's something I did in football where, because I played middle linebacker, and so you know you're basically the quarterback of the entire defense, and so if something goes wrong, the coordinator is gonna come to you and ask you, "Yo, what happened? Why did this not work?" And so you know, so that's something that I kind of like. I basically brought a lot of football stuff over to esports, and I kind of have to be careful with I guess like my mouth, because I can come off as like a dickhead sometimes, where I'm just like, yo, what the hell are you doing, man? Like that don't even make sense what you just did. And it's like not me trying to like come at them wrong or embarrass. It's just more so like I'm speaking with passion. And that's one thing about our IGL, and he speaks with a lot of passion, and it can come off as him being an asshole, and it's not really him being that.
But like I think that's good though that you have the passion. I feel like the reason why that happens in the game, like in the middle of a game, is because you don't have time to fully be like a therapist and super sensitive in the middle of a game. You have to
Yeah.
like say it and get it. Well, yeah, what the fuck was that? We need to do it better now. You know, like you don't have time to be like cute about it is one of the things. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean you should be like blatantly abusive with language.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, yeah, you're gonna be way more comfortable than most people coming from sports, you know?
But it's kind of hard sometimes because I feel as if I have to care about the person's feelings
Yeah.
too much, especially uh because football, you know, is very like rough, and the verbiage that we use is kind of like just straightforward to the point, and so I had to be like, okay, let me like say this in a different way where it doesn't come off as, you know, I'm being toxic, quote unquote. You know, I hate that. I hate that word so much. I feel like to a degree it's like overused,
Oh
but
yeah.
I definitely I don't know. I don't know. I kind of like tried to like work on it a little bit to not sound, you know, be toxic, I guess. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It seems like when I got over to esports, it kind of, I don't want to say, it feels as if like some people are soft and can't
Yeah, they are.
handle
They are.
words, you know,
It
can't
is,
handle
bro.
criticism, and it's just like, bro, I'm not trying to, you know, I'm not trying to belittle you in any type of way. I'm just giving
Yeah.
you fair criticism, and it just seems like people just shut down when it comes to
Well,
criticism.
the type of people who are on computers, most of them are like not have the best social skills. So like
RFP.
you'll need to like hold hands a lot of the time and work through that stuff and learn how to speak to people. Like it's a lot, man. Like it's definitely way harder than any job I've ever had. Like, and I've been an engineer at like a genetics company. Like, it
Hmm.
is way harder dealing with the complexities of humans and trying to motivate them to be their best and find their best and inspire them. It's way harder than anything ever, bro.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I bet it is. I guarantee it is. Especially dealing with like so many different personalities. I guarantee it's like, oh god, is.
But it's a treasure too. I mean, it's that stuff's never gonna stop in life. So like if I ever want that struggle to end, it's not going to. So I might as well embrace it,
So
right?
I
Even if I'm not coaching.
yeah. Well, see, and that's the thing. Like, I did coach Auburn for a year, for a season after I got done playing ball, and I can understand because I was the linebacker slash defensive end coach, and I was like the assistant to the D coordinator, Coach Mason, and literally, it's like it's I don't know. It's like you have to talk to this player a certain way to get through their get it through their head, and you have to talk to this person of more like like a more like, hey man, it's gonna be okay. Like, look, this is all
Yeah.
you need to do. And then you got this other person where you gotta be like, yo, bro, what the hell was
Yeah.
that, man? Like, you need to actually, you know. And it's just crazy how like you just have to like figure out
Yeah, it's a
what
lot.
way, and it's just like, and it's so annoying because it's like, god dang it, man, like.
But there is certain things that like help. There's a certain way of being that everyone can appreciate that helps you talk to everyone, which is being consistent, right? If my actions are consistent and I'm seem level-headed all the time, it's gonna make every interaction way better, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's other things that go along with that, which is if you're respected, if you respect them, if you make them feel heard on a regular basis, if you're not just giving your opinion without asking for theirs first.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing I always do. Like, if I honestly think I need to talk to a player about a situation or why he played a certain way,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always going to ask them what their understanding of this situation was, because if I don't ask that, then maybe I missed something. Maybe I won't even need to talk. Maybe I won't even need to tell them my opinion if I just ask them what their thinking was in the situation first. And if it so happens that their thinking is flawed, then at least they feel listened to, and then we can go into talking about it. And that formula is so simple and never fails.
That's a good formula, actually. You get to see, you get to ask
It's
the
perfect.
player. Yeah, you ask the player where where their thinking process might have gone, and then if, like you say, if it is flawed or if there is like some missteps there, you can give your your opinion to like fix it or whatever. So
Yeah, and a lot of the time there's multiple right answers, and it's still like good to be like, oh yeah, well what I was thinking of is this. So like, oh yeah, oh I see how that could work. All right, there's many ways to win around, and like it's hard. We don't all know the answers. It's not like I have a percentage book in my head perfectly saying all the percentages of the outcomes of the plays. You just kind of have a feeling for it.
So with you coaching, so I did did a little homework and I saw that you coached Wardell and some is still correct. I'm kind of curious how did that go?
I mean, we were actually really good on Ghost. That's Ghost Gaming for CS:GO. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I remember we went to some big tournaments and beat some big teams. We never won any huge tournament, and we were like very close to. I think we were like ranked 9th in the world at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was really good. That team probably could have gone to greater heights because Steel was banned from majors, so like we couldn't even play in the majors. But that org still picked us up, which was really interesting. And we were only there for a year. But what actually ended up happening is there was a little like disagreement between Steel and Wardell on one of the
Figured.
days of practice, and that's what ended up like leading to the demise of the team. It was
I
pretty funny. I still remember that day very clearly.
I should have known because Steel is a I like Steel with how he his what's the correct word? I like how he gives very constructive criticism to his team to people I see. And he's very and what you see from him is what you're gonna get. And he's not gonna lie to you or hide his personality like I know a lot
Yep.
of players like some players would do. But I like Stu. He's just real. He's to me. He's just real.
My homie, dude.
Oh,
I
is
love
he?
him so much.
Oh man,
Yeah, he's the
dude.
homie.
Still, I love him. That man is.
Yeah.
And thing is, I never played CS, but I do watch it, and so I always go back and like watch some of his old plays and clips that he has, especially on YouTube, and it's just like, dude, like I like this guy.
He's so funny.
And then with Dale, I know he was real young. I'm assuming when he was when you was coaching him.
Yeah, I think it was like 18, 19 range, maybe maybe near 20. I forget exactly, but yeah, I had a good relationship with him. We're still chill as hell. Like, you know, it's all good. Like, we'd give each other a hug if we saw each other. He's fucking ice cold in the clutch, bro. Like,
Oh
more
yeah.
than anyone I've ever seen. His clutching ability is so sick.
And on
His
top
main
of, I'm sorry,
his
good.
I was gonna say, but his main thing is like consistency of comms. Like some games he'll like be dialed in and calm a lot, and then other games it just goes. That was a long time ago, but I don't know how he is now. Like he's obviously not competing anymore.
Which is sad to see because I feel like he stopped too early.
I mean, he could if he wanted to. It's not like he's like 100% done or has to be.
I know because the man can opt like crazy.
Yeah,
and
he can rifle too.
Yeah, definitely he definitely can rifle. I definitely agree with you on that. I when I first started playing Valorant, I did not opt. I did not touch that gun, and so I started watching him, and I was just like, you know what, man, I'm gonna learn how to opt. And I was just and so so ever since then I became like every team I've been on so far, like the two college teams I played for, I've always been like the main opper now. So I be opping on KJ, sometimes on Brim. I've become like the
KJ op isn't bad.
I know I love it because it catches people off guard.
Solid. Because you know what you're safe from. Like you know the angles you're safe from because you have a fucking setup.
Oh yeah. Especially like on a map like Ascent where pretty much everyone runs the same meta, the same default comp. I get away with on attack every single time. So when I get Jet trying to up, I punish her for it every single time. I punish her for it. And it's just like, I've gotten like messages in game like calling me a bitch or up crutch and stuff like that. And I just sit there and be like,
one trick.
I'm just like, well, you pulled out the up, so I'm gonna pull out mine, and so we're gonna go blow for blow. I don't mind doing it because I'm not gonna let you sit here and be comfortable.
Yeah.
Especially if I've done my homework on you and I've seen like, okay, yo, I tell my Jet, yo, and look, the Jet likes to op on these 3 parts of the map here. If they set him up in these type of ways, like I know, like one team, they are Odin spam in B. They're Odin spam and get the Jet to walk out with the Odin spam.
Up, yeah.
And I'm just sitting there like, buddy, I'm right here holding you, bruh. So go ahead. That Odin ain't gonna do anything. So come on and walk up here, and you're dead. And I sit there. I completely would sit there and let my team do what they need to do on the other side of the map. But like I said, I learned everything. I learned that from Wardell. Wardell is like my king of offense.
Yeah, he's super good. That's cool.
So I know you coach CS. Did you ever get into the Valorant scene with coaching as well?
Yeah. I coached Cloud9's Valorant for maybe like 2 years.
Okay, that's what I see here. Okay.
And then I went to 100 Thieves for a little bit, and then I went to S2G.
Okay.
And yeah, so I spent like maybe 2.5 years in Valorant.
So, well, what would you tell someone that, you know, with the industry being so cutthroat the way it is, like, what are the things they need to look out for?
I would say that you should never do anything assuming that somebody is going to be loyal. So you should always just do your best, and you should never assume anyone's going to take care of you. You should never assume somebody's going to do the right thing. You should just be self-sufficient in your actions and in your emotions. If you're relying on people to do right by you, then you will be disappointed. 100%. It will happen.
Wow. It
will happen. Even if you do the right thing.
With like the dishonesty that can come with in some orgs and in the esports, how pretty much expecting, pretty much depending on someone, like if you're expecting someone to be loyal or depending on someone to do the right things, how it can pretty much, you can be let down by that.
Yes. If you spend enough time, it will happen. Even if you're the best, something will always happen because there's a lot of money and there's a scarcity dynamic. And when that happens, people will not act correctly inevitably. Like, there are people that are better than others, and then the other people will feel a certain way and they want to get theirs and da-da-da-da-da. And it's like, and then there's other messiness that comes into it with, you know, plenty of things.
That makes sense then. So is that why we see like a lot of orgs always drop their team, even if their team is like making improvements or they make these questionable like decisions and stuff like that, and you just like, wait, why are you doing this? You know, like Sentinels, for instance, where, you know, in mid-season they just fired their head coach out of nowhere, and it's just like,
you're talking about Sentinels?
Yeah, you know, like
Psycho?
Yeah, like they're firing Psycho, and I love Psycho, and it's just like,
yeah, you never know what happened, and it's hard to assume whether or not it was a good like, you never know. Like for instance, I've asked to leave a team or asked for time off in the middle of a season for dealing with mental stuff. Like we're not gonna like talk about that publicly and say like, make a tweet and be like, hi, I'm going through a mental this or that, like, because it's each person's prerogative. Like, person A might not want to tell it to the public, and person B might want to, right? So it's always hard to know what's going on.
So are some, like, your experience with like Cloud9, I guarantee, I'm pretty sure it was different from like your experience with 100 Thieves. What would you say you've learned from those two orgs that kind of like helped you, you know, grow as a coach?
I mean, I learned a lot. Every day you learn something interacting with people. But like, I mean, at Cloud9, they made me feel important. Like Jack like seemed to like want to hear and listen and like feel what I felt. And like he was like, as a farmer, he was walking amongst his crops daily. You know what I'm saying? Like that's, in my opinion, what made Cloud9 different for any other org I've been on, is that he like genuinely seemed to like want to row the boat in the direction, like he wanted to hear my opinion and he trusted me. And he would like challenge me too. Like it was like mutual learning, which was cool. So I definitely applaud them for that. I think Jack is really good for that reason.
So when you coached Cloud9, did you coach when Tens was on the team? When you had Tens and
Shinobi,
Shinobi.
Tice. Yeah.
Oh, dude, how I gotta act because
I had Tyson on the CS team too with Crease automatic daps and Mixwell.
Dude, okay, that little side story. Tens was actually the reason why I saved up money to get a PC to start playing Valorant. I literally, because of him, I was just like, dude, this dude's nuts.
Like just watching him play?
Just watching him play, and then watching like some of his CS stuff, because I saw him when he first started playing CS, and I was just like, dude, what is this game? Like, and I was on console, I was on PlayStation, I was a Sony guy, and so I was just like, is this game on like on console or like what? And so I started like doing some more research, and I found out like there's a like you can get paid to like play video. I never knew anything about that because all like I had this visor on. It was just nothing but football, you know, going NFL, stuff like that. And so that was like my thing. And so once I kind of like let those blinders off and kind of like start seeing other things, and I was just like, dude, I play video games a lot, and it's just like I can get paid to do something that I enjoy doing. So then I came across Tens, and I was just like, who's this Tens guy? And because the first clip I seen was him in some. It was like him in a dress or something, like him like doing like an anime thing, and I was just like, what the hell is this? And so I started looking him up, and then I saw that he was a CS player, and so then I saw that he went to Valorant, and I was just like, what is Valorant? And so I came across the two games basically at the same time, and so I was like, Valorant looks more fun though, in my opinion, because I guess because all the abilities and stuff like that, and so I just started watching what he was doing. I was just like, oh my god, I'm getting a PC.
Really good.
I was like, I'm getting a PC. And so I like,
that's sick.
I literally saved up. I think I saved up 4 months and bought me like a like not the best PC, but like something that can run it. Yeah, something that was good enough. And then I eventually like, you know, upgraded along the way. But that's all I wanted it to run was Valorant. And I could you not. Everything that man did in his clips with C9 and everything, I took it into Pugs and did the same thing. Take jet and just go out aim everywhere. And I was just like, and then I started learning, and then I eventually learned that, you know, your aim is not everything. Obviously, you got to learn the game actually, you know. But I thought that's pretty dope. I hear so many good things about him, like how he's like willing to learn. He takes criticism. He can listen. And he's just a fun dude to be around. Would you say like every day he's pretty much like the same guy? Is not really.
Yeah, no, he has a very good heart. He's like a sweet kid. Like every time I see him, I just give him a hug. Like I don't even, you know, like he's just doing his thing. You know, like I'm just happy he's like succeeding doing his thing. Like he's just like a nice, sweet kid. Like that's who he's always gonna be to me, because that's who he is. You know, he's not like somebody who has a big ego who's trying to make anyone feel bad, or he's not trying to like flex on anyone. He's just like enjoying what he's doing. That's like the core of him. Like he's like not getting in your way, and he's just smiling, and he's just a happy dude. You know,
you can't beat that. You can't beat that.
What's up. Like that's how you should be.
Man, that is.
He's just happy with himself, and he's just doing his thing.
So would you if you could, would you make a team of all 5 Tysons on it?
No, I didn't say that. I mean, the thing is though, is like winning a championship is not necessarily synonymous with being a balanced, healthy person. Something I would say. That's like a very important learning. Like you kind of have to be psychotic to be number one in the world at something. Like you kind of have to have like a little imbalance in your life. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
not gonna like have fun. Like the road to like being number one in the world at something is, I would say, it's not just fun all day every day, right? Like it's probably not. Like there's probably gonna be a lot of rewarding stuff, but it's probably not gonna be 100% fun all the time.
So you would say someone like for simple, like someone that's the GOAT of CS, would just looking at him and seeing what he does, it seems like like you said, being number one is not gonna always be fun. Would you, I don't know if you ever played against Simple, ever played against them, but or even some like the players that you have, would you say that uh, you had players on your team that were crazy like that, where they put in like the crazy amount of hours of VAR
Yeah.
review and stuff like that that's trying to be that number one player?
Yeah, I mean, uh it's hard to know everything that everyone does,
Mm-hmm.
but it definitely makes it like how your drive to work definitely makes a huge difference, like massive difference. I mean, that's something I'm constantly fighting that battle of inspiring people to find a better version of themselves, because that's
Mm-hmm.
what coaching is about at the end of the day. Is like you can only lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink. So it's about like inspiring them to find the level in which they want to drink. And I
Mm.
think that's like the biggest thing, right? Like you said, like how to talk to people. Like how am I gonna get this guy to like find his best level, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
what's his strength and what does he need to do? Because different people need to do different things to get their best, in my opinion.
So I saw that you was also an analyst as well for Cloud9 as well too. Did
Yeah.
How was like as an analyst, like what did things that you do to like help the players as well with their game?
Um. Well. Hmm. So for my personality, I'm pretty much gonna do the same thing a lot of the time, no matter what my role is,
Mm-hmm.
like, but I'm not gonna step on the head coach's toes. So like if I think that during a round of play during VOD review, like I think somebody's tone and the way they're targeting somebody's bad, I'm gonna bring that up, even if I'm an analyst. I'm like, this is not acceptable. Like this is not how we talk to each other. This is bullshit. I don't care who you are. But like
Mm-hmm.
most of the time for an analyst, your job is to like optimize the gameplay, like find a better pattern of map control, like find a faster way to do something that's safer, find a simpler way to throw a smoke, find like what strats do we not have, like what are ways of playing the map that's effective that we're not currently doing, what's the thing that we're strong at that we need to be highlighted more, like
Mm-hmm.
that we need to do more often, stuff like just anything game related, right? Like game expertise is analyst stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
there's no real difference between analyst and assistant coach, unless like the analyst person is purely number crunching and they don't have good social skills. Like then they might like remain an analyst, but a lot of the times the titles in esports aren't necessarily related to the person's
10%.
ability,
Okay.
right? Like you might call me an analyst and that might connote to you that like I don't have social skills, but that's just what my org is offering me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I remember like the first job I had as an analyst for Valens, like that team with Cloud9 when they won the majors. Like
Yeah.
I remember they were like, oh, we're having a lot of trouble on Cobble CT side. Can you like analyze like what we're doing wrong and how we can get better? Like, and so I did that, and I spent like a day on that, and I like watched all their matches, and then I like thought for myself like, what are they fucking up? And then I looked at other people, how are they solving it? And then I just put together like a, like a analysis of this is how you can get better. So
Okay.
n-
So
n-
it's not like like you have like a linebacker coach or like like the roles that you get in esports are not necessarily correlate to like what the name really says, basically, to a degree.
uh, yeah, it's kind of like each situation will be different than another one.
Okay, makes
Like,
sense. It makes sense then. Okay, then. Um, so what I know with so with you started with CS. So what made you like go to like, oh, let me go into the Valorant scene now? You know, how was that transition?
Well, I was at Cloud9, and they at some point they didn't have a CS team anymore, and then they had a Valorant team, right? So like I just transitioned because
That was during COVID, correct? Like
yeah,
when that okay, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And COVID
And
messed up
it's pretty
everything
much like
too.
the same, like there's very small differences. Like it's not it's not hard to understand. Like I would say like the biggest difference between Valorant and Counter-Strike is that in Valorant there's more variables, so sometimes it can make reading situations easier,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it can make it harder. Like in Valorant you have to make plans faster more often, but the
Mm-hmm.
plans are usually easier to read because all the different abilities give you so much more info, right? Like in CS, everyone has the same nades, so when I see a nade fly, it doesn't mean as much as if I see a Sova dart used, right? Like
Makes
I
sense.
know that guy is in that location. Now I know he doesn't have it for 35 seconds. Now I like, oh, if he doesn't have this ability, I can do this kind of play more like da 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 da. So like there's more variables, which makes it potentially higher amount of things to think about, but in some ways those things are easier to think about because the variables are distinct, if that makes sense.
Makes a whole lot of sense. That makes a whole lot of sense then, because I guess like you said, like abilities kind of give you like information of where where players are at on the map. So I know like the typical like on a scent the typical Sova mid dart that you can throw that hits the it hits the back of the I can't even think of
The
the
archway,
yeah yeah
the
well,
the
yeah
top of the double bounce off of the lower left mid that comes back
yeah
at his
yeah yeah
yeah.
that
So
one
you could
it
just hide at the pizza box and then re-peek and da 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 da.
pretty much yeah yeah literally you can just do that it's like I know, like with like the map, it's been out so long, and pretty much nothing has changed. So it's just like you kind of like know what utilities getting thrown of what they're trying to do. Are they
Yeah,
trying to split B? Are they trying to split A? Are they making noise?
yeah.
Are they smoking M3, trying to break KJ's alarm
Trying to break
bot?
the door.
Yeah, are they trying to break the stuff like that? It's it kind of like I will say though, like getting those reps in when I first started, I kind of like started picking up on like patterns of utility. Like utility has like patterns of
Yeah,
how what they're trying to do, and so I'm just like,
yeah,
oh, okay. So this is okay. So I know if they're trying to do this with this dart, they're trying to do this. So it's just like, okay, well, simple. It sounds so
yeah,
simple once you learn it, but it's just like I guess trying to like understand it can be like
yeah,
confusing a little bit. But like I don't know, that's how it feels like how it felt playing football, where like certain formations, certain like when quarterback like motion this guy over, or certain alignment from receivers or O linemen can like give a whole play away. Kind of what they're trying to do. And so I kind of look at it like that. Like I kind of like correlate football from
yeah.
from
Makes
Valor.
sense.
It I swear it kind of makes sense because my IGL aunt he's a big football guy too, and he can take a like he'll look at like for instance like if like on the scent like if we're um in a 2-1-2 and we're fighting for tree but we're giving up a main, like he will break it down into like a whole like football metaphor thing where he's just like, okay, like we're in this coverage but we're disguising like we in this, and it's just like it's
Yeah,
so crazy, and I'm just like, dang bro, you broke it down like that.
yeah.
That's nice.
That sounds sick.
He can break it. I don't know what it is. I can see him really being a coach someday as well. But he's really good at breaking down.
He's got a good mind for the game.
Yeah, really
That's
good,
cool.
really good. So um
I'm sure you do too.
I'm still learning. I'm like I said, I don't boast and brag on myself. So I'm still learning. I'm still trying to
That's
learn
cool. That's one
because
of the things that Valen said is super important, is to try to maintain a beginner's mindset.
oh yeah, because the thing is like even like the approach to football, I didn't know everything. I didn't. it's some things that I messed up on. I was like, well, I've never seen that before, and so the game is constantly changing and the meta's changing, so you got to learn. You can't sit here and think you know
Rest
it
on your
all.
laurels.
Yeah, exactly. Because Kobe Bryant, he big Kobe fan, and I know he talked. It was I watched the interview. He basically talked about having a beginner's mindset. How you should be learning something new every single day. You shouldn't be stuck trying to learn the same thing that you learned a week ago or
and you
months
shouldn't
ago.
have an obstinate attitude that's like against learning and acting like you know everything.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think he said something about like that is like a hindrance to you becoming like a great player and stuff like that. And so, I hear it all the time. There's difference between good players and great players. So what would be your definition of like what separates the two?
I think, I mean, I stated it very early on, but I think I can try to do it again, which is, I think having a healthy grasp of reality,
Mm-hmm.
like so that you can self-analyze and that you are always self-analyzing, like at a healthy rate. Like, why did I lose the round? And can I actually answer that question without delusion?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, you
Why
just said that. Yeah.
what could actually be better, and can I answer that without delusion? Like, do I have a low enough ego to like actually answer this question or not? Because a lot of people will just cope and be like, "Oh, I did everything right and it is unlucky." Like I don't want to hear that. Like sometimes that does happen, but like
Yeah.
if that's what I'm hearing the majority of the time, then I don't want to be a part of that. I can tell you that much.
Understandable. I
And
completely
I
understand.
feel like
Yeah.
you hear that a lot in pugs, right? Like
Oh
everyone is
yeah.
coping, bro.
Oh
Everyone's
yeah.
coping. It's always something out of their hands. It's never their fault. It's like, holy shit, like I literally can't stand this attitude.
It reminds me of yesterday. It was a 2v2 on Icebox, and my Sage had a good play. He had a good play, but he didn't tell me. I didn't know what he was doing. And I died. And I was just like, he's just like, bro, why you just didn't let me do it? I was just like, well, you didn't tell me what you was doing. You could have come to me and said it. And then he was like saying that I was in the wrong. I was just like, you know what, bro, go ahead. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just like, bro, just a simple calm would be like, yo, Dex, can you like hide? I'm just like, okay, yeah, go right here. I don't know. I just feel like I don't know if that's coping right there, but I don't know. I got told that I should have known what he was doing. I was just like, so you just want me to just
I mean,
read
those
people's
I
mind?
I don't think there's like a should necessarily, like, right? Because like that
Yeah.
means that like he's assuming how often you should be looking at radar. Like I don't think there's a should. I think if he had an ability or an option to say like chill or wait, or because we have keywords on every team I'm on for the situation where somebody or
Oh,
some group of
keywords.
people needs to wait in order for something else to develop. Like every big team I've been on has a keyword for that. For that, everyone's word is different, right? But like you
Okay.
should have a keyword for that.
Teams you play for, y'all actually have like keywords for this stuff, like for like certain
Oh yeah,
situations. Like that's
it's
that's
like on a
actually
punt you
dope.
yell Peter, right?
Peter, yeah. That's oh man. You know what? I'm gonna bring that to coach today. Actually,
But
that's
you should
actually
do that about a
interesting.
lot of things, about like concepts, like a setup, like naming a certain type of setup. So like on Ascent, on defense, it's really good for, let's say there's two guys playing A and one of them's like near the lever door and then the other one is somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good to identify how that fight's going to take place, because if both guys peek at once, they might just both die and go 1-for-1 or 1-for-2, right? Something bad. But
Mm-hmm.
if you can know who's going to take first contact and then hide, so that the second guy gets to earhole all the T's looking at guy number one, I
Mm-hmm.
think you should have a concept name for that. So we called that ABA, because that means like contact A, right? Guy A takes contact, but then B cleans them up, and then A repeaks into cleaning them up even further. So we call that ABA, right? Like, yo,
Oh,
you
okay.
ABA with me, I'm A. Like, let's ABBA, I'm A, or let's ABBA, I'm B, or something like that. Like, it's really important to identify when a concept name should be like made into something. Like if a certain situation or thing happens often, and it'd be good to have a quick way of saying it, that's very helpful in FPS games. Very helpful. We have so many of them on complexity right now. Like for pathing, for how we use our nades, for how a certain exec is, like for for if we're gonna like fake one side of the map to let people advance on the other side of the map, we call that like a Vici, right? Because there's a org named Vici
Oh,
Gaming, so we just named it Vici. They're like, yo, I'm gonna Vici A, you guys could take space B, like something like that.
that's dope.
Like you should have a concept for like when the rifle walks a right, like or when the op walks a rifle into an advanced spot and then like leaves the rifle, right? Like that's
Mm-hmm.
like you should have a name for that. Like on some teams we call it like walk the dog. Like, yo, can you walk the dog into like wine and then leave him and then like we'll relurk the opposite side of the map, something like that.
Oh,
Just to, like
that okay.
start to like realize the things that are repeating and that you should have quicker ways of saying.
That
And like
probably help us out a lot faster with like you said with like if we especially if we notice um a certain thing that they're trying to do, we can have like you said have keywords to like pretty much make the process faster.
yeah.
That's
Like if you have like let's say that there's 3 different types of defaults that people do on their T side ascent
mm-hmm.
or attack side ascent, like if they take middle first and break the alarm bot while they have one person holding each edge, like you should call that something. Like your team should be like, oh, this is the M3C. They're M3C defaulting. They're mech defaulting, right? Or they're Fnatic defaulting. Even if Fnatic didn't do it, you just call it like that when they're doing a heavy middle of the map with one on each edge. I think they're Fnatic defaulting, and then that way people gets it in their head faster what's happening, rather than saying like dart mid, 2 mid. Oh, I heard the Omen outside A main. You just say Fnatic defaulting, and then everyone knows what's happening immediately.
And they know how to play accordingly off of it.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
dude. That is why have I not? I've heard of Fnatic defaulting. Like we do say that, and we pretty much know like okay, yeah, like they're outside with holding the because we got to learn we call it PRX like we're even though PRX wasn't the first ones that made I think it was like
yeah.
DRX
You're
but
doing it though. You're naming things.
yeah
You're chunking concepts into a single word, so communication is faster. Is what's happening.
dude that
So you're already
is
doing it.
I just never even thought about like I'm actually doing it though but like
Yeah,
having like you said like yo can you walk the dog that's
yeah,
instead of just saying hey yo can you like draw me up here so I can get on this line you
yeah,
just say yo walk the dog
yeah. Exactly.
That makes so much sense. Why have I never thought? I didn't even think about I was actively doing that. So that's, I guess that's just like the collegiate side of things where I feel like a lot of like that's where like a lot of college players are like missing out on like stuff like that where like tier 2 and tier 1 just have those concepts like down where college
Yeah. Well, now
players
you have it.
yeah, pretty much. I mean, have you heard the school of Winthrop, the team, the first college
Yeah.
team that just dude. Okay, so I actually played against them, not too long ago. Got my ass whooped, smacked,
Winthrop. Really?
and yeah, got smacked. And I did my homework on them, dude. That's all of them play like tier 2, tier 1, like professionally, and I was just like, and I was just like, wow. I watched that VOD back I think 10 to 15 times and saw I was like dude what is separating me from those players like what is separating me because like because I just sat there and I was just like dude like what makes pro players like what makes them just at the top of like the 1%, and I've always tried to figure out that question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I told you it's like just grinding the shit out of the game and getting as good as you can and having like a healthy attitude with which you self-analyze. It all comes down to that, like self-analyzing so you can learn correctly faster.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, it just comes to whether or not you have the ability to put the aim around the head and whether or not you're smart enough to act quickly in the moment. Right? That's all it comes down to. It's like, can you act quickly enough and can you put the aim around the head and can you figure out the situation fast enough?
and that's what it felt like when I went back and watched the VOD. That's what it felt like. That's what they did. Like if they noticed like our defaults off rip, they knew that okay, Viper and KJ are on C, and the other three on A, and so obviously their default mid is like B is wide open. They'll literally walk up B, shoot the turret, and then slot someone there, and then
Yep.
after and pretty much backstab us, or they'll be aggressive like heavy C, and then once they fight the two lurkers off, they'll just immediately run A. You know, and it's just like, dude, and but like the thing is, I've noticed like everything they do is like fast, like it's no hesitation in what they do, and even watching like the pro players play, and it's like no hesitation. It's like boom, this is what we're doing, boom, 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 and it's just like, and it's just like, dude, like. You know, and it's just like, yo, man, like you cannot hesitate against these dudes because these pro players, if you hesitate, they will capitalize off of it.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I'm not gonna lie, playing against them frustrated me because I was just like, dude, I feel like my hard work did not show at all against these players. And when I went back and looked at it, I was just like, dude, I am ass. I was like, I am ass, bro. I am missing so much in my game that I need to fix. And I was like, I am ass. And I was just like, bro,
That's funny.
no way. Bro, it frustrated. Dude, I was
That's all part of the
frustrated.
process, though. It's not like anyone has ever won everything they ever did. Everyone lost along the way.
It was
fine.
I wouldn't even say that was a loss. That was a fucking embarrassment in my opinion.
That's fine, bro. That's good though. Then you'll probably learn better from it.
I was hurt. I was sat there. I was like I even went to my girlfriend's house. I sat there and I was just like, yo, watch this VOD with me because I need some help. And she don't even know anything about Valorant. But I sat there, it's so like, funny. Bro, I need you to like just tell me something. I need something. And I learned a lot. I learned like my shared positioning, you know, things I did get away with that I did not get away with against them. You know, it was, and it felt like they did their homework on me because everything that I did, they just read it to a T. Like they know I like to play behind like a certain Viper wall, and they just dump so much utility on me. I'm just like, can I play the game?
Yeah.
Can I please play?
I mean, it just sounds like you just are going through the normal motions. Is there a like you're going through the normal journey? Like it's fine.
It hurts. I hated it, man.
Is there any final topics you want to go over? Because I got a dip here.
Oh, okay. Okay. My bad. So
no, not bad at all. I've been enjoying it.
So, well, thank you. I appreciate it. It's a great pleasure. You know, you taking your time out to do this. So I thank you. So I got two more for you. So with I guess with Valorant, there's not really like a set path like there is like with CS:GO, where you know there's like a quote unquote like clear path, well, a more clear path. If you were to tell someone like that's trying to get into the Valorant scene, what would you tell them like their steps need to be to like push themselves out there to get recognized?
I think number one, you need to have a good enough computer and a good enough monitor and all the correct things. Like if your computer isn't good enough, it's gonna be very hard to play at your max.
Mm-hmm.
And then you need to play and you need to get good and you need to understand the game. So you need to be able to think for yourself and you need to just go through that long thing. Like get good at the game, however you get good, and then hopefully find a team to play competitive games on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're doing. And that's all that it is. And you just keep climbing and you keep climbing, whether it be through the ranked ladder. There's always something to do. If I'm not on a team, I should be grinding ranked and I should be analyzing why I'm winning or losing. And then I should be trying to find a team to play on. And then you just keep going. It's just that simple.
Would you say VLRs and like Rib are like two good like websites to get your like to show like your stats to, yeah?
I mean, stats, like I don't think stats matter that much. It's about winning games. Like you might get scouted by stats,
Mm-hmm.
but like you should just be playing correctly all the time. So you should never play for stats. Like you should just play to win the round. If somebody ever plays for stats and they're a shit player, in my opinion, like they're just never gonna be good. Like you should always be playing to win the round.
That makes sense.
Always. If you notice somebody's like not playing to win the round and they actually do play for stats, like get them out of there. That is so shit. Like if somebody doesn't like entry correctly, like if they're hesitant and they like bait people, they don't take like the correct route, they're not hitting their timing. You can't have that.
I hear a lot of time people talk about stats, like stats are important, especially fans. There's stats.
Who gives a fuck? Who gives a fuck? What matters is winning the match. I'll go 0-24 as long as we win the match. I don't give a shit. Literally, like if I'm IGLing and I'm entering and I create enough space and my team trades the kills and we win the match and I go 0-24, I don't give a fuck at all. I literally
That's a good mindset to have. That's a good mindset because I'm not gonna lie, I sometimes get tilted at my performance. I'm like, dang, dude, I'm 1-40, bro. Oh my god, I suck.
I mean, yeah, like you might have to go and analyze why that was your scoreline later, but you need to stay mentally in the game and still try to make the correct decisions. Like if I know my mechanics aren't on a certain day, I might play a little differently and more a little supportive to not die and take first engagements. Like sometimes you have to be able to recognize that, like, oh, it's a kind of an off day. I'm going to position a little differently today. But you're still going to communicate that to your teammates and have them like make it so that you're not giving up so much, right? Like if you're going to play a passive, like make sure everyone else knows about this.
Okay, makes sense.
That's totally fine.
So my last question for you is, can you share some advice for players or coaches looking to make their mark on the competitive scene?
Make them more competitive. So like I said already, you always think for yourself. Like don't just go with like popular culture's ideas. Like think for yourself. It'll always pay off in dividends because you need to feel confident in what you're doing and put your time into it. And then number 2 is you should always, like what I said earlier about the formula for how to talk to a player or how to talk to a teammate, you should always make sure that people know that you're being respectful if you're ever approaching, like that you want to hear their ideas and respect your teammates, right? Because it's so easy to not do that, and that helps everyone. It's like a very small thing to do that goes a long way.
All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I know you gotta go, so thank you again. I really appreciate you taking the time out to do this because
my pleasure, bro.
I'm excited. Hopefully, we can play some games sometimes because I would love to. And take care, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.